Hi, welcome to segment 4 of Pathwork 2.0. This segment is going to focus on the nature of and the importance of unitive consciousness on the various different levels where where unitive consciousness is important. I'm focusing on this even though it's possible that, or likely that, some of the people who are watching have a pretty good understanding of it, only because in my experience with organizations in terms of trying to get things done, it has been shown to me that when we do not share common or compatible ideas about some core things, and especially when we don't realize that we don't share these ideas, then when we try to cooperate, we end up having misunderstandings and working at cross purposes and getting frustrated and withdrawing and abandoning and all of that. So just as a general rule, I think it's really important to be clear if you're saying, well, this is all about unitive consciousness, to make sure we all understand what this is and understand it on its various levels, or that if we have different ideas about it, that at least we get that we have different ideas and how they're different, so we can talk to each other about that and explain to each other why we might be approaching things in different ways. So like I said, there are various levels of what unitive consciousness is all about, going all the way really to the nature of God and to the nature of who we are in relation to God. But I want to start with what Lecture 75 has to say about it, or maybe a slightly embellished and annotated version of what Lecture 75 has to say. The essence of Lecture 75 is this. Let's suppose that I'm an individual and that I have desires or intentions to put energy out into my environment, and that I'm attempting perhaps to interact with other individuals, that if I have self-centered consciousness, my energy, even though it might have really positive components to it, is going to be blocked or interfered with by certain self-centered misconceptions. For example, one misconception might be, there's only so much good to be had. The pie of good is limited, and therefore I mustn't give too much of the good to this person, because if I do, then there won't be as much for me. Okay? So that false belief will cause the energy I put out to be interfered with to a great extent by me. You know, I'll be reining it in on some level, and it won't land in this person the way it would if it were unrestricted. And so what I'm going to get back from this person is not going to be quite the same quality of energy that it might have been if this energy were, let's say, cleaner or more connected to, more harmonious and resonant with truth, with spiritual truth. And the other thing that's going to happen, so this is, I'll make this a little jaggedy, okay, because this isn't going to be the greatest energy I'm going to get back. And the other thing that's going to happen is that the universal forces that otherwise would be kind of drawn to come in and replenish me when I put this energy out, are going to be blocked as well by the kind of backflow, or the blockage that's happening out here. Okay, so that leads to another level of impoverishment in my life, because not only am I not getting the greatest energy back from this individual and all the other individuals I'm trying to connect with, but I'm also not getting the life force flowing through me. Okay, and that is where bliss and happiness comes from, is to be in the life flow. To be in the flow of the life force. This, here's how I'm shutting it off: by my self-centered misconception. Another self-centered misconception that might do the same thing would be a pride-based. Okay, one is that there's not enough to go around. The other might be some kind of pride-based misconception that I might have, where I might want to do good towards this person, and yet at the same time I might want them to realize in the context of that I'm more evolved than they are, I'm more generous than they are, I'm better than they are in some way. And that's going to interfere with this flow and have the same effect as the idea that I should only give so much. It's really doing the same thing. It's limiting what I'm giving, okay, and therefore limiting what I'm getting, limiting the experience of my life. So lecture 75 says that this is the mechanism, this is why we want to move to unitive consciousness, but it says two additional things. It says that, first of all, that this change is the ultimate goal of our spiritual path. And it says, for instance, specifically that if you think that resolving your personal problems is the ultimate goal of your path, that this false belief will actually interfere with your progression to unitive consciousness, as well as even maybe interfering with your ability to resolve your personal problems. So it's saying it is the ultimate goal, and it is also needs to be recognized or needs to be understood as the ultimate goal. As the ultimate goal. And I wonder, that's a question you might ask yourself in your experience with Pathwork, as first of all, as a student, has it been clearly expressed to you that this is the ultimate goal, to pass from self-centered to unitive consciousness? And if you're a teacher of the Pathwork or a helper, is this a contextual framework that you provide for your students? It's just a rhetorical question, and you might look at this differently and say, well, no, that's actually not what the lecture says, and that's fine too. But I think it's just something worth noting, because my position is that lecture 75 is telling us this, and that therefore we ought to structure everything we do in the organization around supporting this perspective, around supporting the transition to unitive consciousness, around expressing that it's the ultimate goal, around making sure everybody understands that it's the ultimate goal, and then having protocols and systems and institutional whatevers that are consistent with this idea. Okay? So that's what lecture 75 has to say about unitive consciousness.